Hey, what's up everybody? It's Christopher again. I bring you another iceberg for you guys to enjoy, and this one means a little more much to me. You know, as a kid from the late 90s, Dragon Ball meant a big deal to me, so I wanted to cover an iceberg that reflect that. This iceberg was created by a Reddit user named MDF Mothman, and for this video I'm going to be using little Dragon Balls to indicate whether or not if I can find much research on each subject I'm talking about out of 3, so hopefully you guys enjoy and let's dive right into this iceberg. I'm going to assume for the non-canon entry of this iceberg, it's just discussing all the movies and OVAs in the series that are not main part of the story, aka, non-canon. But I do know for a fact, at least, in my opinion, that the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie was considered canon due to the fact, Goku and Vegeta went Super Saiyan God. And, we've seen that before, and they fought Broly towards maybe the ending of Super. I'm not too positive on that, but if I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. But it's gonna be insane if Super does continue winning in the future. Like, I know it's still going on in the manga, but I would really love to see, like, if Broly were to introduce further into the series, it'd be awesome. But anyways, we're gonna move on to the next one. You know goddamn well what this means. I can't put the clip in question due to the fact that the video may get taken out for copyright disputes, but if you're a fan of Dragon Ball at all, I'm pretty sure you know what this goddamn meme is. Well, yeah, let's continue on to the next one. For this entry, I'm going to be combining these two together since they are both covering the same subject. This is the longest myth whether Goku could have possibly reached Super Saiyan 5 in Dragon Ball GT. But the image in question that you see now was supposed to prove the existence of Super Saiyan 5. And it's kind of crazy to think to me, like back in the day, that I kind of lost my mind when I saw this when I was like 12 or something like that. And legitly thinking that this was real, even though I saw this on iFunny, if anyone does remember that by any chance. But we know now that the fact that this drawing was made by a dude named David Montel Franco and was published in a Spanish magazine called the Hobby Gonzalez. However, there was a website named Majin.com that had posted this artwork in question and claimed that it was a Super Saiyan 5, but they later apologized saying that we were mistaken. But let's move on to Yo Son Goku and his friends return for the next entry. There was an OVA named Yo Son Goku and his friends return, and basically in this OVA, Mr. Satan opens up a new hotel and invites, the Dragon Ball crew for a fun, loving vacation, and later in this OVA, Goku and Vegeta are doing their own thing, fighting or whatever. But they notice that in the background there's like a UFO ship, where they notice there's a Saiyan dude that comes out. And it turns out that this person in question was revealed to be the younger brother of Vegeta named Tarble. or Table, whatever. And Tarble can be considered too weak to fight in the past, and he was sent to a distant star before the destruction of planet Vegeta. And that's it for his basic plot for where he comes from. And as far as Iceberg, I'm hoping that this one is strictly based on this OVA and nothing else. But if there's something I'm missing, I will always update you guys in the comments below. Alright, so this entry is a little bit weird because I really couldn't find anything besides the name. And I'm going to be discussing whether or not if Dragon Ball Heroes is considered canon, so if I'm not entirely right, do as you will. But we do know for a fact that the show was made for the Dragon Ball Heroes app on our phones that, in my opinion, isn't the greatest, but it's a gacha game, so I don't really expect much. And I know, before you guys get on me, I know I played Genshin Impact, it's pretty good, but after a certain part, I just kind of lost my interest. But that's a video for another time. But the only thing that we do know that it might be considered canon, but I highly doubt it, is due to the fact that Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, had designed the first outfits for the Frieza clansmen and its main villain. But others feel that he was involved with the project more than that, but I'm not sure in this case. So for Dragon Ball Heroes, I think that's about it, unless there's something I'm missing. We will continue on to the next one. Goku isn't heroic. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's many times where he probably killed innocent people by accident by going Super Saiyan or fighting other villains. So maybe that's what this is implying, but I'm not entirely too sure. So we will move on. So maybe he isn't heroic due to this, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Gohan was kind of the protagonist for the Cell Saga when it was up to him when he had the free perfect cell, but I'm not sure if there's anything else in the series that he was a protagonist for, maybe in the movies or something I'm missing, but as far as I know, it's probably just for that one section of Dragon Ball Z. Okay, Journey to the West is going to be a bit long for this section, so please excuse me for this. But Journey to the West is essentially a 16th century Chinese legend in which Dragon Ball is heavily based upon. And I'll be listing some examples that were provided by a user on DeviantArt named Knight Kamari. And let's continue. First off, Son Goku is Son Wakan from the story, and the name Son Goku is the Japanese version of Son Wakan. Number 2, both of them wield staffs as weapons which can transform in shape and size. Their tails are their weaknesses, and Goku used to get weak when his tail is pulled or grabbed. Wukong, on the other hand, cannot transform his tail or his rear in general, which proved to be a disadvantage, especially seen in his battle against Earling. And Bulma, I know for a fact I'm gonna butcher this, so please excuse me. Bulma can be compared to Zhang the Hmong, and Oolong can be compared to Zabuchi the Pixie. Yamcha can be compared to Sha Wuchang. And another example is Goku's annihilation of the Red Ribbon Army is very similar to the Wakan's rampage in heaven. And both of them were alone, and they were facing some things which were supposed to be a totally different league. Goku can indeed use instant transmission technique to locate his Kai and travel across the universe. And Wukong can do the same thing. He can travel several kilometers in a single somersault, convenient enough for travel between Earth and Heaven back and forth. And Goku has visited the afterlife several times in the show, dying and being resurrected by the Dragon Balls. Also, Wukong has traveled to the underworld specifically 2 times. This may be a lot to take in, but I did find this very interesting, so I had no idea this existed. So I hope you guys and gals find it cool too. Now let's move on to the Evil Grand Priest. I believe that this is thought of by a user named the GeekDom101 on YouTube, in which his video goes into depth on showing how this is plausible for the Evil Grand Priest to exist. And from what I remember, the Grand Priest was just following the orders of Zeno and, the gods of destruction. I don't believe that this will make the Grand Priest evil, since he was created as a servant to Zeno, and he was only acting on what Zeno had commanded. And there's also the argument, since Zeno, has indeed destroyed planets, that could lead him to being evil, since the Grand Priest did not try to stop it. And like in the previous videos that I made about this, I'm more than welcome to see your comments and pin them. And if I do get the little things wrong on the Evil Grand Priest, I do apologize again. But we must continue on to the next one. There's a theory that was made by a username of Haunted825 on the r/DBZ section of Reddit, and this user states the following on why Black seems to be Goten. Number 1. In the new anime opening intro and then in the new one they show this screen, it shows that what it seems to be the main characters of the arc first feature Mai, Black, Goku, and Samatsu, and the new green Kai looking character in future Trunks. Then all of a sudden Pilaf and the gang, Goten and Trunks, jump in front of the screen, and there's a tie between the Pilaf gang and future Mai, so it makes sense of why they're there. And Kid Trunks has his ties with future Trunks, but why is Goten there? I think because he has a tie-in with Black. Why else could he possibly be there? Number 2, Goten is about the same age as Trunks and Mai, maybe about a year younger than Trunks, and Black appears to be just as young as Trunks and Mai in the future. And you can see that this in his face, and in fact that they have the same arm size. The only character that we have that is the age of Trunks looks like Goku is Goten. And there's a bit more to this than what I listed, but I wouldn't want it to drag this entry a little longer, so I will provide a link below in the description if you wish to read this theory on more for yourself. But let's move on to Hit's clone. For this theory, it states that Jiren had knocked out Hit, but Actually, in reality, it was one of Hit's phantoms, and the real Hit was hiding behind his time dimension, still in the ring and preparing to reappear. The fact that Hit didn't move or say much after Jiren defeating me was supposed to be part of the evidence, but it may just be in fact of maybe the low budget for the episode or something went wrong with the animations, but this one was a bit fun, so it was interesting looking up information for this. Just like early in this Iceberg, It's Over 8,000 was supposed to be the original dub for that scene of It's Over 9,000, but it was later changed in the DVD, and you can find this easily on YouTube. So that's about it for this one. Mr. Shading. Dragon Ball Online. You know, I had not personally played this game when it did came out due to the fact that I was a poor little child. But Dragon Ball Online was a massive multiplayer, role-playing game being developed by NCL that takes place on Earth 216 years after events of Goku's departure. And on September 26th of 2013, the Korean servers of the game were shut down. And on October 31st, 2013, the same year, the Hong Kong and Taiwan servers in the games were shut down. But it's a bit sad to say that this game didn't live up to, well, it didn't live up, never mind. What I'm trying to say is like, it sucks that it kind of like didn't live that long enough. But in the future, some of these assets were later used for the Xenoverse and its further games, so at least one good thing came out of Dragon Ball Online, So rest in peace to all those servers. Alright, let's be real here. There's so many goddamn movies that were introduced in this franchise, and many of them are not considered canon. But I suppose if every movie has its own timelines, maybe because Goku goes on different adventures or shit happens throughout these movies, so we can probably assume that these movies may have their own separate timelines and endings, but I don't know if they have their own timelines. Maybe if they're considered non-canon, but I'm not too sure on this one. Have you all ever heard of the greatest character known in the Dragon Ball universe? We're not talking about Vegeta, we're not talking about Goku, we're not talking about Trunks, we're talking about my boy, Hoshi. And if you don't know who the hell Hoshi is, well, I'm about to fill you with some knowledge, man. Hoshi is an Earthling that is also known as Ronin. He's the son of Yarjabaro and Giri, and the ancestor of Puck. He makes his debut essentially in Dragon Ball SF. And a quick note, Dragon Ball Strongest Fist is a fan-made manga created by Naiko 23 that acts as a sequel to Dragon Ball GT anime, and includes, many Dragon Ball Supers characters within this timeline. I don't know how, but it's pretty wild seeing that this is, a fan-made manga, and it introduces like sagas and their own timelines as well. So Dragon Ball Hoshi is pretty cool. And we got the time to read it, you definitely should. It's very, very interesting. Alright, so for Fall Super Saiyan, it's essentially the transformation that Goku takes during his battle against Lord Slug in the movie Dragon Ball Z Lord Slug, and it would also appear in his fight against Lord Frieza, the best villain of the goddamn Dragon Ball universe. So you'll see the picture as I'm talking about this, and this is a reflection of what Fall Super Saiyan is. So, yeah. Alright, boys. Now, I know I may have talked about the greatest Dragon Ball character was in fact Hoshi, but Hoshi doesn't got shit on Tien, and he's one of my favorite underground fighters, the Mr. Three-Eye Fighter Tien. Anyways, we all know for a damn fact that Tien is not human due to the fact of his crazy power-up moves and his ability to power up when needed. But interesting enough though, that Tien is in fact a member of a race called the Three-Eyed People that were on Earth. So this pretty much confirms that Tien is a human. So let's move on to the next one. Did you ever think to yourself, My boy Krillin doesn't have a nose, so I wonder how he breathes. Well, Krillin breathes through his skin, and I'm not joking, and I can prove this 100%. So there was essentially a questionnaire given to Toyama in a weekly Shoujin Jump called Adventure Special. And the interviewer in question asks, why doesn't, Krillin have a nose? And Toriyama responds, well, Krillin has a physical idiocracy that allows him to breathe through his skin. So, yeah, so Toriyama basically confirmed that Krillin breathes through his skin, so that's pretty fucking weird. Move on to the next one. Cell does use the power of the Saiyans. That's why when he blew himself up and then came back, he had a golden aura around him, and many people consider this form of Super Saiyan Perfect Cell. But this may just be a little detail, seeing that Cell in this image at least does have the golden aura and electricity on, which is commonly found in Super Saiyan 2. Well, in this image that you can see that the figure on the far left does kind of look like Jiren a little bit. And essentially, maybe this could have led to Goku being Jiren's expedition match for this one. But I think that's about it for this one. Alright boys, we all know the Panchi, the greatest MILF in Dragon Ball history. And I know goddamn well it's going to be taken out of context and used in a cringe compilation if we ever do blow up. But she is the wife of Dr. Brief, which we all know is the founder of Capsule Corporation. And from what I can assume, since, Pansy doesn't really show any signs of aging of process, it can only mean one thing, that she is in fact an android. And I'm sure this entry is just a little joke, so please don't form an angry mob and attack me harshly, and yeah. We're gonna go on to the next one. "16 is modeled after Dr. Gero's dead son. Akira Toriyama revealing to QA himself that in the colored version of Dragon Ball Z Android Saga manga, Android 16 was modeled after Dr. Geno's dead son, and apparently he was a high-ranking soldier in the Rebel Army, but he fell to an enemy bullet, and you can see the resemblance between the android and his son. So this one's pretty good. Do you guys remember the movie I was talking about, with Broly and Dragon Ball Super's own thing? Well, there was one scene where they end up crashing in a, dystopian planet where there's like nothing. And I'm wondering if Broly and Paragus, whatever, ate beets in order to survive there. Since in the beginning of that shot where they land on the planet, Paragus does shoot lead to preserve food and water that they have in the ship, only having 10 days of supplies. So assuming that after the 10 days for on this godforsaken planet, when you remember in the movie, there was like nothing but like weird ass cryptics and like acid like fucking lakes or something like that. But maybe Broly and his father ate beets. So think about that when you're sleeping at night. Majin Piccolo. So I had stumbled upon this discussion under the name of a form called Kanzen Shu, where originally Piccolo was supposed to be the one under Bada Bean's Majin spell in the Buu Saga, giving him another battle with Goku. But according to the resources that I found onto the forum, Toriyama's editor stepped in and said Vegeta should be the one to fall under the spell, as fans were crying out for a Goku versus Vegeta rematch at the time. So it's kind of a shame that we never got to see Piccolo become Majin Piccolo, so against Toriyama's will. So it's a real shame, but alas, at least it was still a good saga at the end of the day. Buu existed since the beginning of time. Now, originally Majin Buu was created by the wizard Babadabi father, Bidibi. However, according to Toriyama himself, Bidibi merely found Buu and found a way to control him. And apparently Majin Buu had existence since the beginning of time, so he must have been a byproduct of the Universe 7 creation. Which is like, what do you mean, Toriyama? Like, it's pretty wild, man. But that's it for this one. Yeah. Toriyama did not forget launch. It's kind of a lot more simpler. That he wrote that launch out of the story in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, the chapter where Goku appears with Gohan. But much later, like around the same time, I believe this interview came up where the interviewer asked Toriyama that I noticed that launch disappeared after Raditz came, and what was she doing? And then Toriyama's response was, to tell you the truth, I totally forgot her about one point. Then I remembered her after a while, and I had to think of a reason why she disappeared. So I made it seem that she was running towards. I know I'm gonna butcher this. It's gonna be Tin Shinana. I mean, she was in the previous arc, and her picture was shown like 2 chapters before. But he basically forgot that he didn't forgot to finish launch, if that makes any sense. So Half-Life 3 confirmed. Yeah. The script in question, from my understanding, was originally written to be more dramatic and was tweaked by Toriyama during its productions to be a little less lighter, but there hasn't been anything that I found personally that could maybe show the original script. But if there's something I'm missing, I will always pin your comment, and we'll have a discussion on it later on in the video, or should I say the comment section. So let's move on to the silver-haired Super Saiyan Blue. So apparently Super Saiyan Blue was supposed to have white hair and not blue, and we would find this question was asked in an interview with Toriyama, which I will start reading the following. The interviewer states that, my question is so trivial and I'm kind of ashamed, but why does Super Saiyan Blue have the blue hair? And then Toriyama responds, in the Battle of Gods it was red, so I figured for the revival of F, I should go with blue. That's all. And then he proceeds to laugh. Well, actually I was thinking about having it to be white, but then it would color clash with the next enemy, so I figured should be saved for another occasion. So maybe he's referring to Ultra Instinct, which is pretty cool in the interview. So silvered hair Super Saiyan Blue is done for this one. I couldn't find any information on why Ultra Instinct Reptile Eyes was on this list, but where I found this original Dragon Ball Iceberg, there was a discussion where the user, Orange, states that in the original teaser for the Ultra Instinct sign, the shading of Goku's irises made it look like he had slit pupils, which kind of looks like reptile. So, yeah. I guess that makes Ultra Instinct Reptile Eyes, I suppose. Jiren is Buddha, and before we go, I know everybody's making, but Crisper, what do you mean Jiren's Buddha? Well, I'm pretty shocked too about this entry, and it's indeed quite possible. I had read a theory on how Jiren is Buddha by a user named Hydro2016, and it's pretty damn convincing, so I'll be reading a little bit summary on why this is possible. So I thank you kindly, Redditor, for this awesome theory, and it goes the following. In the Buddhist belief system, when a being reaches the highest level of spiritual awakening, they enter a state known as enlightenment. And why is this relevant to Jiren? Well, Jiren's not a god, that much is clear. However, it is beyond doubt that he has characteristics resembling God. Indeed, Wiz commented that his power resembled that of God of Destruction, perhaps even surpassing one. And Jiren has showed incredible power, none more than the power from his eyes. And this is only possible through an enlightenment. There is one particular belief that stands out regards to Jiren, which is the third eye. And in the Buddhist belief system, awakening third eye provides the user with a state of near clairvoyance and heightened perception. And people who have unlocked this potential can create mind words via meditation. They achieve a higher state of being and a higher consciousness. It could be argued in effect that this power is beyond the gods. And who does that sound like? It's no accident that such a focus on Jiren's eyes. And why is this important? Well, remember the picture of Goku standing with his back facing us? The work of the gods ends here. And believe me, the Dragon Ball Super is just starting, and we have reached the end of the beginning. and now are being exposed to a whole new level of power scaling. And enlightenment is said to allow the user to ascend or evolve to the point of being par with the suppressing the gods. It is entirely a new state of being, and Jiren is no god. He has transcended them, and he is at one with the universe. Therefore, Jiren is Buddha. Boom. So, yeah, that's pretty fucking crazy. So, now let's move on to Gogeta indirectly killed billions, and you heard me right. So just like the previous listing where Goku killed billions of people, we're going to maybe be assuming that, you know, the references to his overall power level and transformations may have a direct impact while he's fighting the Hearts in Dragon Ball Heroes or something like that. And for those who are not familiar, Hearts was basically like the main villain for the Dragon Ball Heroes short anime they have. I think it was like maybe an OVA or something like that, but I'm not 100% certain. So maybe there is a correlation with how Gogeta killed like billions of innocent civilians in his battles. So I think that's it, but I'm not too sure. So let's move on to the next one. So this peaky motherfucker named Oolong actually roofied Bulma, and we have fucking proof of this. So hold up. There's an episode when they were stranding the Zeds where Oolong roofies Goku and Bulma with the intention of filling up later while she's asleep. And Pura and Yamcha ultimately prevent him from doing so. So, Oolong, you motherfucker, you are going to jail, dude. Because that is wrong. My boy, what are you doing? Like, you already I remember when you wasted a fucking wish on the Dragon Balls for a pair of panties. So, you have no shame, sir. You go to the fucking jail or wherever you belong. Actually, no. We'll put you in a fucking McRib sandwich, which is coming towards your local McDonald's. So, Oolong, fuck you. Yeet. The Funimation leaks. I remember that these leaks were trending on Twitter like a while back ago, but essentially it's the voice actor saying all sorts of wild shit in the bloopers. But I can't put it in this video due to the fact that there's a little spicy language being used, but you can find it easily through other means. So you can just look it up on YouTube and you see for yourself, man. It's pretty wild. Goku and Vegeta's assisted suicide? I don't know what the hell this could be referring to. For my guess, maybe this is talking about the final explosion that Vegeta uses as the last resort to defeat Majin Buu. But I highly doubt it. Maybe there's some kind of like fan fiction or there's some kind of OVA I'm missing. But I have no idea what this is even talking about. So I'm sorry. There is no canon. I'm pretty sure that this is just a joke referring to that every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized, but there's nothing more to this than that. So, let's move on to the next one. This one's going to be a bit controversial, but I mean no disrespect at all to this poor voice actress, Hiromi Soru. And her death is real sad and tragic, and you know, it's a real shame because, you know, her role in Dragon Ball was more than important to a lot of people, including myself. But the only loose connection to Boogie Back is that there's a scene in Dragon Ball Super ending that featured this song, and you see Bulma driving, and the lyrics take the following: that the timing I choose is to jump out what was met with blaring horns. So we're assuming that this might be referring to her tragic end, and the blaring horns would be the various, you know, EMTs and police officers on the scene. But I wouldn't take this theory very seriously due to these very loose, you know, coincidences. But again, rest in peace, and we'll miss you dearly. And thank you all for the good times you provided us. I wouldn't really call this one stealing, since Toriyama was heavily inspired by the Journey to the West, and you know, he took his own little spin on it and made Dragon Ball and added various elements of his own creativity and made it into what we know today. So maybe it's stealing, but I don't think so. It's just inspiration, as you call it nowadays. Well, that's the end of this iceberg, and I want to thank you all again for your feedback for the last two videos, and I'm greatly appreciative, like all the views and the likes you gave to the channel and give us a little more of a boost. So, I wanted to apologize, for the time it took for this video to come out, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But I'm going to be making more iceberg videos in the future, so be on the lookout for that. But before I go, I'm going to be creating another series called Lore History with CRISPR, in which I will go into depth on talking about certain characters in video game franchises that only get a few lines in their games. So keep on the lookout for those videos, and I'm CRISPR. Thanks guys, we'll see you in the next video. Well, that's the end of this iceberg, and I want to thank you all again for your feedback for the last two videos, and I'm greatly appreciative, like all the views and the likes you gave to the channel and give us a little